Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to make these super cute little crochet flowers. Once you get the pattern down, they really only take about 3 minutes to make, and so they're the perfect added detail to any of your larger crochet projects, or you could just add an extra piece of yarn and turn it into a bag charm. They only require a few simple stitches, and I will go into detail on how to do each of them in this video. Okay, so for this project, you're going to need 2 different colored yarns. I'm using Wait For acrylic yarns by the brand Loops and Threads. And then I'm going to be using a 4.5mm crochet hook. And then you're going to need a pair of scissors and then a darning needle to sew in all of your ends as we go. So I think I'm going to start with this one. And we are going to be making a magic circle, but don't worry, it's not as hard as it seems. I'm going to start by putting the yarn on 2 of my fingers like this, and then I'm going to hold it down with my thumb, and then I'm going to wrap the yarn around my fingers so then it crosses and makes an X shape, and then I'm going to turn my hand over and rest the yarn on top of my ring finger, and then I'm going to hold it down with my pinky so then I can grab my crochet hook with my other hand. And as you can see here, now we have 2 strands laying on top of our fingers, and you're going to go under the right strand and pull the left strand underneath the right one. And what I'm going to do is just rotate my crochet hook forward so then it creates a loop on our hook. And then from here, we're going to go from left to right underneath the working piece of yarn that's being held by our pinky. So I'm just going to scoop underneath from left to right, and then I'm going to pull this through the loop on our hook. And then when you take your fingers out and you pull everything tight, we now have our magic circle and a chain on our magic circle. And so now we can start our pattern, which begins with 10 single crochets. And so to do a single crochet, we're going to insert our hook into the magic circle. We are going to yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over on our hook again and pull this through the 2 loops on our hook. And there we have our first single crochet. So I'll show you again. Insert our hook into the circle, grab our yarn, pull it through, and then yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on our hook. So now we have 2 of 10 single crochets, so I'm going to continue and do 8 more, so then we have 10 total. Now that we have the 10 single crochets in our circle, we can pull it closed with the tail end of our yarn. So just pull it as tight as you can, and then from here what we're going to do is slip stitch into the first single crochet of our circle, which is right here for me. So to do a slip stitch, we're just going to insert the hook underneath the V of our first single crochet, pull the yarn through, and then pull the loop on the left through the loop on the right of our hook. Now we are going to yarn over and pull through this loop and pull it tight. So then when we cut off this working yarn and pull out this tail, we now have a nice and tight knot on this circle so that it doesn't unravel. And so from here, I think we should already weave in this end so that it's not in our way. So what I'm going to do is take my darning needle and thread it with the yarn. And so for this end that we just made the knot with, I'm just going to go into a couple of the loops here in the back. And once we do that, I'm going to go back in the other direction, but skip a loop so that it doesn't just pull what we already just did right back out, and just go back one more way and go through a couple more loops. So from here we could trim off this end that we just weaved in, and now we can weave in our magic circle tail. And to do this one, I'm just going to weave in the ends the same way I just did, and then I can trim off this end. And now we have the center part of our flower. So now we can switch to our second yarn color, which for me is this nice bright yellow. And we are going to start by attaching this yarn to our circle. And to do that, I start by making a chain. So I kind of do the same thing as the magic circle, cross the yarn over, except this time when I pull it through, I just pull it tight. So then we start with our chain. But what I'm going to do is take it off of our hook, but try and keep it in place. And we're going to put our hook into one of the single crochet V-shaped stitches in our circle and put the loop back on our hook. And we're going to pull it through that stitch and then yarn over and pull through and pull it tight, so now our new yarn is attached to our circle. And so from here, the pattern's going to repeat all the way around to create the petals of our flower. So I'm going to start by chaining 2, 1, 2, and then we attached it to this stitch right here. So now I'm going to insert 2 double crochets into the stitch right next to it. So to do a double crochet, we yarn over and insert our hook into the stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on our hook, and then yarn over, pull through another 2, and then we're gonna go and put another double crochet in that same stitch. And then from there, I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to slip stitch this chain into the stitch right beside the double crochets that we just put right here. So in this stitch right here, we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through. You can see that we have the first petal of our flower. And then from here, we're going to just repeat that all the way around until we have 5 petals. So I'm going to start with my chain 2. And then I'm going to do 2 double crochets in the next stitch. One, 2, and then I'm going to chain 2, and then slip stitch in the next stitch. Now we have 2 petals. And we're just going to repeat all the way around. Okay, now that we have our final petal, what I'm going to do is make a chain like I have before to close off the circle that we did in the beginning. And then we can cut off the working yarn. And then now we could just pull this tail through. So now it's a nice tight knot. And then from here, all we have to do is weave in our ends. So just repeat the same steps that I used before of going through a couple of stitches and then skipping one so then you can go back the other way. And I just like to make sure that when I'm weaving them in, I'm weaving them in through the back side. And here we have our super cute crochet flowers. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that it was clear and easy to understand. And if you have any tutorials you would like me to make next, please let me know. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!